Okay, welcome everybody to another class on vocabulary. I'm taking all of today's words from a book called Advanced Idioms and Phrasal Verbs, and you can find this book. It's from Oxford University Press. Just put it into Google and I'm sure you will find this book. It's a white book. And they're all excellent phrases, and this is from chapters 35 and 36 from that book. But if anyone would like to buy a phrasal verbs book, whoopsie daisy, I've got a phrasal verbs book. Hi Alessandro. I've got a phrasal verbs book called Visual Phrasal Verbs. I'll take that out the right. Visual Phrasal Verbs, and you can buy it on Amazon. It's £20 for a black and white copy, or you can buy a colour PDF copy with hyperlinks from my website, which is skype-lessons.com. Okay, now today I will be doing some other classes. I'm going to try to do a grammar lesson because I haven't done any grammar lessons for a long time, and it will be on a very advanced piece of grammar, a piece of grammar which I particularly like, called perfect gerund and perfect infinitive. It's a piece of grammar that I've made some mistakes with before, and so I'd like to correct some of those mistakes. So I'll do that later today, perhaps after I've finished my lunch. But right for the moment, we'll just do phrasal verbs and idioms. So, at any cost, at any price, at all costs. We normally use this adverbially at the end of the sentence to say that you will do something at any cost, at any price. And it means you are willing to do anything. You're willing to sacrifice anything in order to get this done, in order to get this particular project or aim finished. And so you might say, I would love to meet, I don't know, Johnny Depp at any cost, at any price. And it means you're ready to do anything, whatever it takes. Very good, Alessandro. Whatever it takes. You're willing to do whatever it takes to meet that person. Okay, but it can be used in many different ways, and so for anything that you really are desperate and determined to get something done, you'll say, you know, I'm ready to buy a house at any cost. Although that does sound like you're ready to pay £1 million, £2 million, because cost is mentioned there. But it can be used for any kind of project, not just buying things. Yeah, it can. You might say, I'm willing to marry her at any cost, and so no matter what it takes, I'll marry her, even if it means, you know, banging her on the head with a stick or something like that, hitting her on the head with a stick, which is obviously not something nice to do. Now, if you play devil's advocate, this means that you're able to. This means that you're going to defend the opposite side of the argument, the side of the argument that you don't agree with, that you disagree with, but you're going to defend the opposite side. You're going to play devil's advocate because perhaps you want to just see where the conversation goes. Perhaps you want to see how the other person argues against you. There could be a number of reasons why you decide to play devil's advocate. For example, I'm going to make some more lessons about IELTS and FCE and CAE, and in particular I want to talk about the writing exam, because I think when you write an essay, it is good to play devil's advocate and to consider what the opposite side of the argument is. So if you're arguing for and against, because usually they're for and against essays, if you're looking at the arguments for and against, I don't know, raising taxes, it's good, even if you believe that taxes shouldn't be raised, it is good to mention the arguments that other people would give to defend raising taxes. Yeah, it's good to do that. It's good to play devil's advocate, even if you disagree. Now, I think you should still explain in the conclusion which side you agree with and why, and you should explain why those arguments are weak when you play devil's advocate. But to give a balanced essay, it's important to consider both sides of the argument. And so it's important to play devil's advocate when you're in your IELTS writing or FCE writing or CAE writing. So I hope that's made that clear. Consider the other side of the argument. That's all play devil's advocate means. Okay, butt in we've had before. It means interrupt, and you can say he cut in, he jumped in, but it's more common to say butt in. And a couple of other ones, you can say he kept talking over me. and that means his voice was louder than my voice and it went over my voice, and so he interrupted. It's very similar to interruption. Chime in is slightly different, and please, if you want to test yourself on the nuances, this is in the book. Chime in normally means when you join the conversation with your voice, and so it's not necessarily an interruption when you chime in. It can be, but most of the time we say butt in for an interruption. Chime in, you might chime in agreement with somebody after they've just said something, and you chime in as well, and it adds support to that person. So chime in is slightly different, but it's related. Beat about the bush. This is an idiom very often used in the negative of don't beat about the bush, in that sense, don't beat about the bush. And when you say don't beat about the bush, you mean get to the point, the next one. You mean go directly to what you want to say and stop talking indirectly, stop digressing, stop going around the subject, go straight to the subject, go straight to the point. So this is very common, don't beat about the bush. It means stop talking indirectly. Cut to the chase is excellent. Somebody just said cut to the chase. That means the same as don't beat about the bush. Cut to the chase. So cut to the chase is exactly the same as don't beat about the bush. It's a very good example. So get to the point, cut to the chase. They are the same. They are synonymous. If somebody misses the point, then they don't understand what point you're making, or they don't see the crux of the matter. Yeah, now remember that phrase, the crux of the matter? It's from a previous lesson. The crux of the matter is the most important point, the most important thing. And so if somebody misses the point, they miss the crux of the matter. I'll put that back up, the crux of the matter, or the crux of the problem, but the crux of the matter. They miss it. They don't catch, they don't understand the crux of the matter, the most important thing. Now, if somebody likes to have the last word, this is usually used in a negative sense, because it normally means that this person, I think I'm a bit like this if I was going to make a criticism of myself. I think I do like to have the last word, which means I don't like to leave an argument with the other person saying the last thing. I want to say the last thing. And it's negative. It means that you want to always put your point across, but you think that your point is more important than the other person.